listening to them, Jay. I think our president, Masai Ujiri, and myself have during a lot of this have opened the floor to these guys and had several meetings just as maybe an open forum to let them get their thoughts and feelings and ideas out there on the table. You know, we're going to meet here shortly, Jay, so we'll have a little more info in a bit, but we're going to listen to them.
So again, the Raptors are planning to have a meeting shortly, and we will see what news comes out of that. And again, some consideration, at least, again, anything and everything being discussed, according to Kyle Lowry in a text to R.J. Williams. Richard Jefferson joins me for the first time this morning. Vince Carter is back with us here. And we had a very, RJ, I don't know if you saw it, but we had a very open and emotional conversation at the beginning of our show today with Vince and with David Fizdale and several others. About the emotional comments that Doc Rivers made last night. I'd like to change the subject here now to the idea that these players are having conversations, at least giving consideration to the idea that they would skip playing a playoff game tomorrow night. Something that has been pointed out this morning. They have worked their entire lives for the opportunity to play for a championship. Both of you know how precious the opportunity to play these huge games are. And here are these players willing to make that kind of sacrifice in the interest of trying to advance their message and their cause. RJ, I just want to give you the floor and hear what your thoughts are this morning.
Well, when you go back to the beginning of this bubble process, you know, there was obviously concerns, you know, about personal health. And then obviously with the murder of George Floyd, things started to get a little bit more intense. And players considered sitting out. You remember this. And so they sat together with the NBA and decided how to put out a positive message. That's what they wanted to do. But a lot of players were just, their hearts and minds weren't there. They weren't in the moment. So there was a lot of guys, there was consideration. Multiple WNBA players, Avery Bradley decided not to play. There was tons of people that decided to not focus on basketball and to focus on the issues that face our communities. And then here you have in the bubble, and all of these players, they said they never wanted to take away the message. And I want to compliment the NBA on really focusing on the message that these players wanted. But now they're in this bubble, and you still see similar things. Not that this was going to eradicate what was going on in our communities and in our country, but ultimately their hearts and minds aren't in it. Like that's the thing that they're talking about, to go out there and try and play a basketball game. And let me say this, one of the big things that really brought these players in is that they were told that we need sports to heal this country. We need sports to heal America. This will bring us together. We need you to go out and entertain us and take our minds off of all the things that are going on. Well, what happens when the entertainers' minds aren't in it because of what's going on in their community? And now that's what we're facing today. That's what the players are trying to decide, if their hearts and minds can be in a place where they're supposed to go heal other people while they're hurting.
I'm sure there are many who are watching this who might be thinking to themselves, well, what exact purpose would be served by not playing a playoff game? Well, I saw one of the players give voice to that. I apologize that I forget who it was, but one of the players that I was reading the quotes yesterday saying, now we don't play this game. Now all of a sudden, the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks, this latest event took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is very near Milwaukee. The owner of the Milwaukee Bucks is now adding additional pressure on local authorities there. There is an effect that they could see. So that if you're wondering what the reasoning behind that would be, that was at least one of the examples that I read yesterday. Vince, with that as the backdrop, I just wonder if you could try and put yourself into these conversations. What thoughts would you have, do you think, if you were there? What would you advise these players?
Well, first I'll say, what better time than the second round of the playoffs than to do something like this? Statement will be made, and all eyes will be on both of these teams. I would like to see them, I would suggest, rather I should say, both teams get together and sit on a panel or forum and have dialogue and just discuss and get everything, all of their feelings out on the table and to move forward and what these guys are thinking. Because like I said, there's been a lot of guys prior to the bubble who were protesting and out in their communities speaking. And now with the bubble, you don't have that freedom to move about and be a part of the rallies and everything that's going on outside of the bubble. So I think if these teams do not play, having them come together, sitting together and kind of discussing the issues and what's on their hearts and what's on their minds, I think is very important because all eyes will be watching. And of course, we'll be talking about it. So what better time?
I've heard a few players, I believe George Hill was one of them, who have wondered aloud whether they made the right decision by going down there and playing during this time, and whether it was indeed taking attention and focus away. Richard, what are your thoughts on that as you hear these players talk about it? I'm just, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Well, we know that Black Lives Matter written on the court, and these players, kneeling together. We knew that wasn't going to eradicate racism in our country. We knew that, but it was more of to draw attention. So, I can't speak for every individual player. There are some players that believe that what they're doing is the right thing, and there's some players that believe that all of their attention would be better served at these rallies, at these protests, because maybe they can influence, a peaceful protest. Maybe they can raise even more awareness. Maybe they can get in and have a meeting with their congressman or their senator. And so, I think that's an individual thing. I think my biggest issue, and what I think the issue is for these players, is that they saw what was going on in our country with COVID, and then obviously the protests. But they were sold on, here we can help the country and we can help heal the country. Even people that might not believe in Black Lives Matter, they believe in basketball. And so if you bring them basketball back, it can lower tension. Well, it's not having the desired effect. And so now that's why players are now questioning, why are they there when they can be helping in other places?
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.